Testing, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. You gonna say anything?
Testing.
Wow, why'd you spike it? Oh. I was gonna do coffee break.
That's why I wasn't saying anything.
Yeah, it's garbage eggs.
It's garbage eggs.
I don't think we have anything for garbage eggs. This is the history of Resident Evil Part 2.
Yeah. So we did part 1 last year.
No,
Earlier
it was
this
earlier
year?
this year.
We did part 1 beforehand. So if you want to hear from the beginning, make sure to get caught up on that one.
Yep. That one, I would say mixed reviews about it, you know? Some people found that I was not fully factual about it.
What do you mean?
They were like, well, you didn't get all the quotes and figure out what's there. And it's like, I'm just trying to tell you a timeline. And also, I just drone on and on.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. So this time, there is no script.
Woohoo!
So I'm just going to tell you the next games that follow up and what cool differences they made, Capcom made during the production of these games.
Yeah. So last time we made it up to Resident Evil 4 in 2005.
The original Resident Evil 4, which won Game of the Year, and it's well regarded and respected. And this year, for Game of the Year awards, as of recording this, we don't know the winner because it's Turkey Day.
Yep. But it's gonna be Resi.
Yep. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thursday off.
Oh, but only in America.
Tomorrow's Native American Heritage Day.
Woo!
I don't know why it couldn't be today.
Well,
because we gotta celebrate
because they really spit in the
genocide
face
of them.
Yeah,
lovely. Also, damn all turkeys. This is my favorite thing about turkeys is this day, which I don't like Thanksgiving, but I love the fact that it's just complete massacre of turkeys.
Is it because turkeys are scary?
And they're very aggressive. They tried to hurt me.
They chase people. They're just like geese, birds in general. That's why they're called fowl.
Do you know they hiss?
Yes.
I
raised turkeys for a while there.
Yep. Turkey Tom. Ooh, no.
Yeah, they make hissing noises. They make weird.
Your parents make
noises.
fun of me for not wanting to be near him, and I'm like, are you kidding me? He's like 3 feet tall. He weighs like 100 pounds, he's hissing at me.
He's not even the biggest turkeys we've ever had. When I was a little kid, we had huge turkeys that they raised for like 2 years, I think. And they got so big they wouldn't be able to fit in the oven. They were huge.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
where do we begin? Resident Evil Part 2.
Yeah, so it's 2006 now. And they released Resident Evil Deadly Silence.
What is that?
So if you take the initials of Deadly Silence, DS.
Oh, man, they were in love with doing cutesy little things like that.
For the DS, yes.
There was this one, like, doctor game where, like, your doctor's name is, like, Daniel Smith or something because his initials were DS.
Yep. Now, this game is a port of the original Resident Evil.
Okay.
The PlayStation 1 version of it. But they did add in another gameplay value where you can use the swipe, the touch pad on the bottom.
Nice.
It worked like ass, and you're just swinging around a knife like a fucking asshole.
Like a lunatic.
Yeah, and usually it was like birds or spiders or snakes jumping at you.
I mean, a lot of games...
Sometimes there were zombies.
When the DS came out, a lot of games were like, oh, and for the screen you, like, slice, you know, you do a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of them didn't take into consideration how much kids are going to just scratch the hell out of that screen. I destroyed my DS screen.
Did you not have a protector on it?
No, what do you mean, what kind of protector?
Like a film?
No.
You were supposed to do that.
I know. Well, I didn't. I know now. At the time, I didn't. And at the time, it was making puffins for Pokemon. In Pokemon Pearl version, because I was doing contests.
Yep. Okay. Somehow Pokemon made it in here. So the cool thing about this game, because the graphics were on par with if you think about it, the 3DS graphic-wise was as compatible and competitive with the PlayStation 1.
Yes. I find...
Nintendo is notorious for just lacking at that.
I find those chunky, blocky, hyper-pixelated graphics very charming. If you do it with a good style. Like Dragon Quest, for example, translated very well.
What was that one game of the year and everyone talked about it? You tried to make me play it and I don't care about it.
I have no idea. That didn't narrow it down.
Telltale? No.
Telltale.
What is it?
Oh, Undertale.
Undertale. Yeah.
That's intentionally supposed to look like that.
Yeah, and that works for it.
Yeah.
But not when you're trying to make an atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, especially for the scary games like Resident Evil.
Yep.
It's like, here's all your pixels. Ooh, all 3 of them?
Yeah. So the fun thing about this game, for me, because it's 2006, so I'm in middle school at this point, was that I could play Resident Evil on my DS, and my dad never knew I played it.
Nice.
Because he was so against Rated M. And because of how he was so against Rated M and Rated R things, that's why I think I gravitate towards just gore.
That's so weird because my parents were the opposite. They were always like, yeah, we don't care. And so I never had any interest.
Yeah.
So I played like Banjo and Animal Crossing instead.
I don't even know what the real reason why he wouldn't allow that other than just a strict Christian upbringing.
Maybe Allison's
Catholic
parents were the same way.
Yeah.
Man, one of the coolest moments was we went to the GameStop together, and Allison wanted No More Heroes, but it's rated M, so her mother wouldn't allow it. So we bought No More Heroes, and then she got something else. I think it was Animal Crossing or something. It was on the same console, and then we swapped discs, so the box is the one her parents would approve of.
Yep.
We felt like the biggest criminals. We were like, we're the coolest. We're so smart.
Yeah, that sneakiness. Mm-hmm. I would take my DS into school to play it.
Man.
Yeah, school's really boring.
I never felt comfortable taking my electronics places.
I never got mine confiscated, or I never got caught with that. I got caught with other things, but...
But also, could you imagine, like, would you get caught playing? Resident Evil. Nice. Nice choice.
And this would not be their first venture into the DS territory with Resident Evil. In 2007...
Just 1 year later.
Okay. I'm old enough to say I saw the end of the era of arcades.
Yeah.
And arcades were really cool. I know you can find them. They're kind of a niche thing.
They're really popular in, like, other places in the world. Like, Japan still has a very thriving arcade.
They also use gambling.
They also have, like they're more fun. And there's more options.
And to be honest, even casinos kind of use more of a arcade kind of style for some of their games.
A little bit.
I'm talking aside from the table games, right? Mm-hmm. Casinos, here we go. As a kid, my parents would go to casinos. I remember I was not allowed to walk on the carpet. I think that's still a rule.
I think it's a law, actually, not a rule.
I think it's a rule. And
yeah, you can bend them.
We were in Nevada, so I don't think that's how you say that, by the way. Don't say Nevada.
Nevada.
It's Nevada. Anyways, there were certain, like, paths I would have to take, right? Mm-hmm. And my mom would go play the nickel slots.
Wow.
I don't know what the fuck my dad did, whatever. And they would just throw me like $20 and just say, go to the arcade. Which was like, I have a fond memory of this one casino where it was like down in the basement and I had to walk down there by myself.
I feel like you're going down to like a real adventure.
Yes. And as you go into this spot where you feel like you're alone and no one's gonna care about you, you find this massive arcade.
The magical world of games and children.
Imagine the highlights of Chuck E. Cheese without the shitty pizza and the scary animatronics, or the better version, Peter Piper.
Yes. Maybe that's why arcade games have kind of weaned off over here, is that, the games themselves, they're basically just like app games, if we think about it.
Yeah.
You do a little doohickey, and then once you win or lose, that's the end of it.
And you would go to arcades to throw in your money. You get the coins. You can only use in the arcade, right? Mm-hmm. And you play the games, you get tickets, and you turn them in for prizes.
Yeah.
The prizes were never worth it.
Always lame.
And the one you always wanted actually cost way too much.
Yeah, there was like a huge stuffed animal of something, but you needed like 700 million tickets.
Yep.
And with the 50 that you managed to get, you can get like a spider ring.
Yep. And there were 3 choices of games that didn't actually give you tickets. There was the racing game where you got into the seat of the car with the steering wheel and you had everything there. And I love what modern technology has done for video games towards that. Have you seen their setups?
I have, and they actually move.
They have pedals
to make it feel like you're actually drifting with it.
It's so cool. I love that. I love that for them. That's
whenever people are like, I would put a movie theater in my house, or I would put a bowling alley in my house. The only thing
I think of Buddy. I think of Buddy with bowling alleys. I'm scared. Yeah.
No, the only one I would have some sort of setup like that racing mechanic, but I would want it to be pod racing themed.
There you go. There was fighting games. That's how Mortal Kombat came to be. Mm-hmm. Street Fighter.
Yep.
King of Fighters.
Tekken.
Yep. Tekken.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I forgot there was a 4th one, Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah, those are huge.
Not always in the arcades, but they're there.
Remember when you had to get like the plastic pad that rolled out?
Yep. And then my favorite, the reason why I'm telling this story, is light rail shooters. Mm-hmm. A light rail means that you just stand in a spot and then the game does all the work for you towards movement. Mm-hmm. And then you can interact. So, like, this can be a roller coaster ride now.
Yeah.
Right? You could do a light rail roller coaster.
Pokemon Snap is technically a light rail.
Yeah. Yep. But I loved light rail shooters. And House of the Dead.
Yes.
Was my jam. I love House of the Dead.
House of the Dead has such a weird history to it.
But I do bring it up often. Mm-hmm. Because I love them. And Resident Evil in 2007 decided to dip its toes into that market and bring it home. And it was fun.
If anything could compete with House of the Dead, it would be Resident Evil.
Yep.
Get like, the voice actress for Hunnigan or something to have a little line of dialogue and then just go through a recognizable area from the game and bam.
I want to play these games with you. They only made 2 of them, and they were amazing.
I can't aim, so we'll see.
So this came out exclusively for the Wii for consoles, right? Mm-hmm. I know. You got the DS, which has shit graphics, and then you got the Wii, which has decent
controls.
Yeah, and I got used to it. Anyways, Umbrella Chronicles is what they dropped. It is the story of Zero, Resident Evil Zero, which will become a movie soon. It's called Umbrella Chronicles. Go figure that out.
Smart.
It will just tell the story of the prequel game, Zero.
Okay.
They're still working on it. Very little is known. Pretty much they're just going to tell the same story of Resident Evil Zero.
Supposedly. Anything could change at any point in time, though.
I would expect Wesker to show up again.
Yeah.
He actually is in that game. And then they tell the events of Resident Evil. Mm-hmm. And then they tell the events of Resident Evil 3. Okay. Now, I know, where's 2? We'll get there. On top of that, you play basically very simple layout of the maps. They kept it the same. Mm-hmm. Monsters coming out, you're shooting at them. You got to reload by shaking. That's a very common thing. You shake it, and then you aim at the screen. Pop, 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 pop.
Were these the ones that first introduced the character. Oh no, I don't remember his name.
Who are you talking about?
The guy who taught Leon how to use a knife.
No, Krauser. You're talking about Krauser. Krauser is in Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 was before.
Yeah. One of them was just, like a weird spin-off game that, like, explained his history, though. Was it Chronicles? Was it Umbrella Chronicles?
Okay, so, fine. The other one, which came out in 2009, was Darkside Chronicles.
Ah, I remembered the word Chronicles.
Before we get to Darkside, let's talk about Umbrella.
Okay.
Right? Umbrella Chronicles added in more stuff, where there's a backstory of Wesker getting out of the mansion before it blows up.
It's good to see.
While he's infected with the T-virus.
Nice.
When we left him off, he died by a tyrant stabbing him through the chest.
And then suddenly he's back.
And he comes back. And the fun part of playing as him, it's single player only, if I remember correctly.
Makes sense.
And then the worst thing is you're going through the house backwards.
Wesker's story notoriously betrays his team as single player?
Yeah.
Who would have guessed?
and Lisa Trevor starts following you, who's immortal.
That's great.
And then the only way she actually dies is because he gets out of there and she gets blown up.
Mm-hmm.
They added in a new story.
Cool.
This one I don't think is canon. But basically, Chris and Jill are part of the BSAA. I know, we made leaps and bounds ahead.
Okay.
Because the BSAA wasn't really announced and they don't really talk about them.
Okay.
But they go to Russia.
All right.
And they find a hive. Now, this is where the fans, and I agree with the fans because I'm one of them, Capcom tried to bring in those shitty live-action movies with Alice in.
Ugh. Blah.
And as they're going through the hive, which is in the movies, right, they meet the Red Queen. And the Red Queen is an AI that controls the hive.
Okay.
It was terrible. I hated it. I don't like those live-action movies. That will be part 3, by the way.
Oh.
We will talk about those movies. Cool. We're going to talk about the animated ones as well.
Nice.
But
the good ones?
far superior. It's not even a contest.
It's not. God.
No contest. And when are they getting in there? They got to get in there. It's Garbage Case, guys. It doesn't matter. We'll just have fun. Am I flying off the rails?
No, you're good.
Okay. Okay. So, they did that, and I just loved it. You could bring it home. You can work on it. You could play it. Lots of fun there. And then they did Darkside in 2009, which adapted to and Code Veronica.
Okay.
And then they put in the side story where it was Leon after the events of 2 in between 4.
Yeah. Learning to be from the first day on his job cop to the military man not protecting the president's daughter.
So he's in Secret Service in 4, right?
Okay.
Here he's just military.
Makes sense.
Okay. He has a special mission to go down to South America where they have to investigate reports of BOWs, right? And Krauser is the other guy who goes with him. That was just a side story. Nothing ever came of it until the remake of 4, which only made it canon, which was awesome. And you remember me freaking out because I was like, it's canon, they're talking about it.
I remember seeing a lot of tweets being like, everyone looking up Darkside Chronicles to try to figure out what Leon's talking about.
Yeah, and I was just like, that is so cool. And of course, Leon's my favorite guy.
I like how they made that one canon. They're like, we have the story. Let's just do it.
There's many stories of Leon that are aside from the games. Because if you think about it, he's only in 3 games.
I know, it's weird. He seems so, like, prevalent. He seems like almost the face of Resident Evil.
He
Arguably
is.
the face of it. But he's barely in any of the games, especially compared to, like, Chris. You know?
And Chris is... That's the fun thing about Resident Evil, is if you look at your heroes, you realize that Japan figured out archetypes and was able to fit them all into people.
Yeah.
Right? So you got Leon. He's the action adventure guy who's really handsome and
quippy.
Yep. And he says really dumb jokes and it's funny, right? You got Chris. He's the jacked American, hardworking.
Yeah. Like soldier, serious.
Yep. And then you got Jill, who's the badass bitch who swears way too much, and
yep.
You got Claire, who's the humanitarian, who's cute and helpful, and then you got Rebecca.
Yeah, smarty, book smart.
Yep.
Always the one solving the problems.
And that's your core right there. There's other characters who come in and they're always side characters, and then they do a game and then they're gone.
They usually die.
Sometimes they do.
Bye, Luis.
So these are the light rails, and I love them. Also, in 2009, they decided to release Resident Evil 5.
To mixed reviews.
I have literally gotten to an argument over this, to the point where a GameStop employee was so rude, he was swearing at me.
Wow.
And I walked away from him. But it had to do with the location that they chose for Resident Evil 5.
Yeah.
Which was Africa.
Yeah. And so, okay.
The demo came out.
Uh-huh.
And the demo, apparently, I remember playing the demo, but I don't remember any of this, which everyone always says was the bad thing, was that you're constantly just killing black people.
Yeah.
And you're playing as a white guy.
Yeah.
Now, I don't remember that. I remember it being quite a array and mix of all ethnicities.
Well, yeah, as a kid, you might not even, like, register things like that. You might not even think about things like that, you know? It is...
I also just didn't think of it like that.
Sorry.
Whatever. I don't think about it like that at all. Mm-hmm. I went in there going, I have a mission. There's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a new plaga.
You weren't thinking about people, you were thinking about zombies.
Yeah, I'm thinking about monsters. Like, I want to stop the monsters. Mm-hmm. Chris, this is the first mainstream game to actually allow co-op.
Yeah.
And couch co-op, which was really awesome. So Chris, part of the BSAA, goes to Africa, hearing reports of this plaga.
Teams up with Best Girl Sheva. Woo! And
Sheva is amazing. I actually main as her instead of Chris. I don't like Chris that much.
He's big and bulky.
Yeah, his design, he's too big.
You like the big flippy characters who can jump around and do like high spin kicks and whatever.
Well, their special weapons, this is very telling of me. Their special weapons is Chris will get a minigun.
Cool.
And he's clunky and he runs around like a tank.
Yeah.
Right? And Sheva's is a bow and arrow.
You're so big into bow and arrows.
I love archery.
I think the only reason you played Horizon Zero Dawn
just to have that bow
as much as you did is just because you loved having the bow and arrow as your main mechanic for that game.
Probably. Also, she's a lefty.
Mm-hmm. You're playing like.
And when I do archery, I shoot from my left.
You also will just like you'll be sitting there running around, and then you'll stop, and then you'll point your bow and fire. And you're like, I killed a bird. And I'm like, I didn't even see it. To me, it just looked like you started firing randomly into the sky.
That's one thing I love about bows. You got to figure out the drop. Oh, I love shooters. Anyways, so this game, supposedly Capcom comes back and fixes this inequality of race stuff and then drops the full game.
Nice.
This was a fun time for me. I was in high school when this came out, and I had a friend who also loved Resident Evil at the time.
Yeah.
And him and I decided, midnight, we're going to GameStop. We're picking this thing up, and we're going to go play it. We played it on the Xbox 360, which, yeah. We ditched school the next day.
Nice.
And one of our teachers was like, where are they? And apparently the way the story goes is someone went, the new Resident Evil came out last night. And she was just like, the teacher was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, no one was actually upset at us that we did this.
It's the thing is, with Fives co-op, is it doesn't do a split screen. It does, like, 2 mini screens. So they basically, rather than cutting the screen in half, you have a full-size screen that's just been shrunken down.
Yep.
So it's kind of like if it was cut into quarters, but that means 2 quarters of your screen is just all black.
It's hard to describe what they did, because 6 also does that too. Mm-hmm. And it's not a full, like, horizontal line.
Yeah.
There's some vertical lines where there's just dead air. And I don't know why they did that.
I think so you didn't sacrifice, like, the width of your vision or the height of your vision. I don't know.
It must have been, yeah. I think you might be right. It must have been the limiting capability of technology at that time. Because this is only 2009.
I think they definitely designed it.
I don't even know if the iPhone was out yet.
Maybe the first one. But, yeah, I think they definitely designed the game as a one-player game. Yep. And then added on co-op retroactively.
Yep.
And didn't really have design elements for co-op in play, which was really evident when you play through 6 and Helena's just there, not really necessary.
If you play 6 as a one player, yeah, it's pretty pointless.
I loved being Helena.
You sure as hell weren't going to play Leon.
I loved, because I was always slower than you, because I would stop and, like, look at things, and then Leon just, Helena! And
that was also from 5, where you just scream and yell at your partner when you're stuck at a door because you have to get through it together.
Chris! Shiva!
This game, Resident Evil 5, introduced a few interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
There's swear words.
What?
This entire time, from 96 to 2009.
Getting edgy now.
They did not ever drop a swear word.
Damn.
And I'm talking about the S word, the F word.
Probably some dams here and there.
I think damn was all. I don't. Look, if it holds up water, it holds up truth.
It's not a swear word. It's so. And now people just say whatever. I don't think anything really, other than maybe kids' cartoons, clearly. But I don't think anyone really cares much about swearing.
Yeah, but I bet if you watch a kid's cartoon, there's going to be a moment where they go, damn it.
Yeah, they might, honestly.
So, there's that. Co-op. And then Wesker.
Yeah.
This is the game that made the famous... I think this is the one that really put Chris on the map. And it was because when you're fighting Wesker at the end, he punches a boulder.
That boulder punching asshole.
And if you haven't seen the footage, you got to go check it out because there's no way you can actually do that.
It's honestly dumber than what you're thinking. If you haven't seen it, it's more dumb than the thought that's currently in your head because the camera tries very hard to make it look really cool and cinematic.
And then he pushes that boulder into a overflowing volcano so that he can get across.
Yeah.
So there's running magma, or lava, sorry, my bad.
Mm-hmm.
Lava just spewing out of this thing. And then you got to go fight Wesker. This will mark the end of Wesker.
Yes.
This was an interesting thing. Because he's been the villain this entire time.
Well, you don't want to Palpatine it, you know?
I'm sorry. Is Indiana Jones still dealing with Nazis?
I know.
God. Lucas, stop it.
Boring.
So, about Wesker, his death, obviously you kill him and that's the end of the game, right?
Yeah.
I had a rare chance to actually meet the voice actor of Wesker.
Cool.
And I was at a Comic-Con. My little brother went up to go get his signature.
His autograph. That signature implies he was signing some kind of legally binding document. Your brother is like a tax collector.
I want to put it past him, actually.
I got you now.
Anyways, he's getting the autograph, and I was just like, I got one question for you. And he's like, what? And I'm like, do you think Wesker survived? And he was like, no, nobody survives that. And I was like, okay. And forever on, I have never forgotten that, and I know that Wesker's dead.
Nice. Cool.
So Resident Evil 5 is a very fun game, and it was kind of fun to live that, you know. I have so many stories about 5. Mm-hmm. I have a platinum in it.
Nice.
I just enjoyed that one all the way through.
Cool.
Now,
mixed reception though, because it leaned more into like action. Like Resident Evil started the idea of like maybe some more action moments, action hero-y, less snooping around and being cautious.
Well,
and 5 leaned into that even more.
It did. They're considered a trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, yes, of the action third-person trilogy. Mm-hmm. The thing that really stands out the most about 4 to 5 is 4, Leon's saving the president's daughter, right?
Yep.
So it's that romanticized version of he's the hero, right? And he has to go save the damsel in distress, right?
Yeah.
With 5, there is nothing like that. It's just Chris and Sheva going through and just slaughtering people.
Just gotta get rid of that virus.
Yep.
We're the vaccine now.
Yeah. Okay, 2011.
2011?
Yep.
That was I guess it was only 2 years.
Mercenaries 3D. Mercenaries.
Was this on the 3DS?
Yes, that's why it's 3D. It's a game of just mercenaries. There's no story.
Mercenaries is fun.
It is. I think it showed up in 2 and 3, the originals, but it was called something else.
Do you play as Hunk?
Basically, you get to play as all of them.
Do you get to play as Tofu?
No, Tofu I don't think was in there. Oh. I could be wrong.
What's the point then?
Well, I didn't play it much because there's no story, and I was more interested in invested in the story, and I still am.
It's when that's the thing when a developer doesn't understand the part people like is the good characters and story.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, the gameplay, that's the important part. It's like, well, that's an important part.
The 3D didn't work, but I don't think any 3DS games worked.
Gonna say, let's be honest, none of the 3D on the 3DS worked. I remember I never cared, and then I got the Pokemon X version. And I was like, let's see that cool 3D. First time Pokemon's using 3D models.
You had X version?
I did.
I had X version.
I liked the deer better. I thought it looked cooler.
The weird deer?
Xerneas. Very different Pokemon.
Different times.
But I was like, they're using 3D models for the first time in the Pokemon games other than their spin-offs. Let's see. And I start up the game, and I grab my Chespin, and I go to battle Shauna.
You chose Chespin also?
Yeah.
What the hell?
It's like we were destined for each other.
Oh, no.
I'll always pick the same starter as you, babe.
No, you don't.
No, I usually try to pick the opposite. But no, yeah, I gotta fight Shauna, and I hit the 3D... because it was like a slider for some reason. Yep. Hit it all the way, and I'm staring at it, and I'm like, nothing's different. And I realized just the text box is 3D. Like, when it pops up, it's like, Chespin, use tackle. That's the 3D part. And I'm like, what a waste.
So I played with it one time, and I was trying to just figure out what makes it 3D. And I realized the image that you see in 2D, right, your screen, push it back, and then bring another text forward.
Yes.
And that's what creates it. So you can literally actually, when you play with them, you can watch the image that you see in 2D get pushed back and then other texts pop up.
Yeah, it's a very simple mechanic.
Yeah, it was a gimmick, and that's what Nintendo's actually well known for.
Their gimmicks?
Yeah, they're gimmicks. And they're still succeeding today. I mean, the Switch 2 is on the horizon.
Yeah. I'm playing my 3DS now. Like, I just started a new game in Yokai Watch.
Yep.
It's still a good console.
In fact, I hardly play the house console of the Switch because I usually play my own Switch Lite, which is just a Game Boy.
100%. I was like, that's why I would prefer a handheld console because I like being able to curl up and hold it close to
PlayStation Portable?
No.
So yeah, Mercenaries 3D. It was just a Mercenaries game.
Cute. Make that an app game, honestly. And that would do really well, I think.
In 2012, this is a year of significance and utter failure. There's a few things that happen here. They drop a new game for just the 3D.
Okay.
3DS, sorry. Resident Evil Revelations, which is a spin-off midquel game before 5 before 5, Jesus. Which is Jill, and she's taking care of something that has to do within the ocean. Revelations...
She gets stuck with ocean things a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Jill, the maritime fighter.
I made that joke a long time ago in one of your videos. He looks like that one guy from Resident Evil Revelations. He had the long
Oh, yeah, the guy with
hair.
the orange hair.
Yep.
Yeah, it was Torchwick. Yeah.
And then the villain... The monster at the end of this game is like interdimensional. His face opens up vertically, and then it just reveals like muscle and an eye.
Hell yes.
It was disturbing.
Give me that Lovecraftian monster nightmare.
They also made their most sexualized character in this game.
Oh. Was it a man?
No.
What a surprise.
She had the biggest rack you could ever think of.
Was she a villain?
Yeah.
Sexualized characters are often villains. As if implying your sexiness. You're flaunting your sexiness. It's a bad thing.
She was...
Until Bayonetta comes in and stumps in everyone's dicks.
She was very much infected, and she had like blonde hair that came down in a braid that dangled over her right shoulder. And then when she got infected... her face is just this weird mass of congealedness, and then the braid became this tentacle.
Ew.
But the rest of her was human for most of the time, and she would just... So you see a female, over-sexualized female body with a monster's head, and it's...
I mean, that sounds like a Silent Hill thing, honestly.
Yeah.
Why do my nightmare demons all have huge tits? Oh, God.
Then the next game they released in 2012 was Operation Raccoon City.
What is that?
I loved it.
Was it a...
It was a midquel, spin-off, non-canon thing. Where you are, say Hunk was part of a team.
Cool. Hell yes.
And it was a 4-player co-op online play. And you get dropped into these areas, and you're going through Raccoon City trying to clear it.
Wait, I think I've seen gameplay footage of this one.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I got into big fights with people online.
I bet.
At one point, you have to fight Nemesis, and he has his minigun.
Nice.
And you're stuck in a warehouse with him. Oh, it was so cool.
That's so stupid. Nemesis, the amazing, awesome abilities and powers that he has, and he's using a minigun? That's not fair.
Well, it's because he didn't transform fully yet. Remember, there's different stages to him.
I still...
And that was considered a flop. Not a lot of fans actually enjoyed that one. The common folk didn't actually come and play.
Yeah.
And then...
Now we're like, 5 games canonically in, and all these spin-offs, it was reaching the point where if you don't know the lore, you're going to be so lost.
Plus you have all the movies.
Yeah, which is a completely different lore. So if you go in expecting it to be like Alice and her stupid misadventures, you're going to be even more lost.
At the end of September of 2012, they released another animated feature film.
Nice.
Which I was surprised they even did. And I thought Degeneration was going to be the end of it. That's the one where Leon looks really weird.
Yeah.
And he's with Claire.
Yeah.
They released a new one, straight to DVD, called
Arguably.
The best one.
Arguably the best one.
And it's all Leon and Ada. It's so much fun. It's the true sequel to 4.
It's got great characters outside of Leon and Ada.
JD.
JD, no.
I was looking forward to showing you America.
No. Cool powers. Cool. It made sense too. Like the plot around what Leon was doing, like the Civil War thing going on in Russia, I think it was.
It's supposed to be over there, but it's a made-up country.
Yeah, in somewhere in Europe.
Yeah, somewhere else in Europe, where they speak Slavic.
At least they speak with, maybe that's a Russian accent.
Perhaps. So that was really interesting, and then a week later, October 2nd, 2012.
Okay, he doesn't have these dates up on the computer. He just remembers them. He just has all these dates memorized. He remembers the exact dates of like every game he's played of the day they released.
Video games are very important to me, and they were always held against me as punishment.
But numbers are stupid and hard to keep track of.
Well, this was a very important one for me.
So what happened on October 2nd?
I got hired at Target to do overnight stocking. Yay!
Woo!
And then we had to watch instructional videos. It was a night orientation, even though some of those people were going to work during the day.
I bet they were fuming.
Oh, it was horrible. So we're watching this orientation on the TV, and it was about union busting.
Oh, great.
I mean, not joining a union. My bad, Target.
Union, you don't need a union.
Yep,
because
it was all that.
We'll already treat you perfectly.
That was exactly what it was. And at that time, I was anti-union.
Yeah, our parents really hammered home, like our parents' generation really hammered home the idea that unions are very bad.
Yes.
They'll trap you in contracts and things like that. And now it's like, no, that's dumb. Unions are a good thing.
If I was smarter and knowing what I know now, I would have joined the Teamsters a while ago.
Yeah, there was a union trying to get formed at one of the establishments I worked at a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being so conflicted because I was reading it and it was saying one thing, but in the back of my mind, I just hear my parents going, no, unions are bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what to think. But it was like the week before I was leaving because I had quit.
Yep.
And I'm like, I guess I won't put too much thought into this. But yeah, unions are good. Unionizing is a good thing.
It will benefit you in the end. Especially against corporate America, which needs to be taken down. And that's the whole point of Resident Evil, is taking down corporations. Let's be honest, that's what it is.
Thanks, Leon.
With the fall of Umbrella comes in Tricell, which came in Resident Evil 5. It's also the bad guys of...
Degeneration? Damnation.
Yeah,
I get it.
Oh, no, Tricell's also in Degeneration.
Oh, is it?
They show up at the end, they start collecting evidence.
They do, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we do that, and then we do a walk of the store, and we're done, right?
Yeah.
I stop in the electronics section because I know what dropped that day.
It was a whole ruse.
Even though I'm strapped for cash, I was like, nope, I'm still throwing $60 down because I want Resident Evil 6.
Nice.
Oh my god, Resident Evil 6.
Notoriously mixed reviews.
This was a death knell.
No. Death
knell?
No.
I thought it was Neil.
No. What do you think a Neil is?
Probably a dude.
Yeah, like the guy from Great British Bake Off.
Isn't like one of them in One Direction or something?
A knell it's like a toll, like the ringing of a bell.
No, it's okay. Do you want to tell the history of it?
Of Resident Evil 6?
No, the death.
Oh, knell. I have no history for it.
You don't know why it's called that or anything?
No.
Long ago, when there was just villages and the church was pretty much in charge of the whole village, right? If someone died, they would ring the bell to tell everyone that they passed.
Better come and get ready for the funeral.
Yep, and that was, if you hear it randomly in the day, you know someone passed away.
Damn, I bet when they introduced the bell system for keeping time, I bet it caused a lot of people a little bit of panic for a while there. It's like, so 4 people died. No, it's 4 o'clock.
So Resident Evil 6, co-op, online. You can even play as the monsters and attack other players. There were 4 different storylines, full length. So basically, you got 4 full games in one.
And by full length, like once you think you're done, no, you
have more to play.
You have like a whole other third of the game left. Each one was different, kind of.
Different styles.
Yes.
So that you had a version where it was Leon and Helena.
Yeah. Woo, Helena. I love her.
And that was the horror survival.
Yes.
Going back to Resident Evil 4 and its roots, right?
It feels very classic. Classic Resi.
Yep.
I like that one because in that one, Leon is voiced by Matthew Mercer and Helena is voiced by Laura Bailey.
Yep.
And then I think 2 years afterwards, Matthew Mercer would voice Crom and Laura Bailey would voice Lucina. And so they went from being friends to father and daughter. And that made me remember their names as voice actors.
Yeah, that's another big thing that happened there. Matthew Mercer taking on the role of Leon. There were 2 guys who played Leon before, both named Paul. The first one who played him in Resident Evil 2 passed away, sadly. Yeah. And the other guy who played him, his last name was also Mercer, Paul Mercer. I don't know why they didn't pick him up, but also compared to Matthew Mercer, which is a household name now.
Yeah, and Matthew did his voices for all the animated movies, I believe.
No.
Except for maybe the first one.
So, man, I don't want to jump ahead.
We'll just tease that. We need to learn about that later.
Okay.
For the third part.
Then there was Chris and Piers. And Piers is part of the BSAA, and they're going out to get revenge for their team being slaughtered by Ada. Or they think so.
And what was the style of this one?
This one was more war. It was just straight up
war, basically.
Shooting. Piers carries around a .50 caliber rifle. It is a massive rifle. These are real things, and that is his special ability, is holding that rifle and just taking guys out. You gotta look these things up. They're stupidly big. Yeah. And Chris, of course, is just a big hunk guy who's really, really upset. and then the third story was of Sherry.
Yeah.
Sherry Birkin.
She came back, yeah.
And Jake.
It is the cutest thing when Sherry, sees Leon, and she's like, oh my god, it's my guy. And he's like, holy crap, how are you?
Sherry was the little girl that Leon and Claire saved from Raccoon City. The 3 of them survived that incident.
Yeah.
She grew up to become a international agent, and she ends up reluctantly getting teamed up with this guy, Jake.
Yes.
Jake is a pugilist.
And is there something...
Which means he's a fighter.
Yes, he fights with his fists.
And there's nothing more interesting about him. No, right. He is the son of Wesker.
Yeah. So he's infected by birth?
Yes.
Fascinating.
So he's a hybrid?
Yeah.
It doesn't take over him or anything. He's just really strong with stamina. Like I said, he's a fighter, so he can just duke it out with other BOWs. And then the 4th, who are we forgetting? Ada Wong.
Who was teamed up with her? Oh, wasn't it just random?
He was originally you can only play that as single player, and then they did an update where you can play it as 2-player, but it wasn't meant for that, and you were just agent.
Nice. Couldn't even have made it Hunk.
But he looks like Hunk.
Oh well, it could just.
I know.
Yeah, that's sad.
Everyone was upset, and I get it. Yes, it's a lot going into it, and all the stories interweave with each other.
God, the plane? Fuck that plane. Oh my god.
Yeah, the plane scene with Leon. You only played Leon.
That's bullshit. Oh my
god. I love that game. And you go all across the world in that one. Piers was a big favorite of mine.
Yep.
It was fun playing with Sherry, but...
Hers was very different.
It was more... action.
Yeah.
Or actually just adventure.
Like we were on we started up the first chapter of the Sherry and Jake plotline.
Yeah, and we're in Europe.
It was kind of like we're doing
somewhere in Europe.
Somewhere in Europe.
Where it's snowing, and they have weird Russian accents.
But it's just nowhere specific. But we were doing a lot of like jumping up and down and climbing things and things like that. And then at the end of the chapter, there was like 4 titans or something like that.
Yep.
And Jake's running around punching them, and Sherry's running around finding rockets to fire. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't feel like Resident Evil.
And
it feels like Bayonetta or something.
That's where they lost the grip on it, and it became way too much action oriented, and the original fans were like, hey, it used to be horror survival.
Mm-hmm. And
they spent millions on this thing.
Yeah, you can tell.
And they did not make their money back. It did not get nominated for Game of the Year. It won no awards.
People hated it. Even me. I didn't know anything about Resident Evil, like, much.
Yep.
And even I knew 6 was the bad one.
And it's actually not bad. It's not buggy. You can play it all the way through.
Yeah, it's
just considered the ugly cousin that just kind of showed up to the party.
It's like Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. As a game,
hold on. It's called Tears of the Kingdom.
As a game, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts is not bad. It has good mechanics and has okay ideas, but it's a bad Banjo-Kazooie game.
Yes.
Because it's not when you come to Banjo-Kazooie 4.
Yeah, exactly. And you shouldn't switch it up like that. And especially to make this 6.
Yes.
This is the 6th one. Technically the 8th one.
But wasn't this the one that introduced regenerators?
No, that's 4.
6 introduced a new enemy in it, didn't it?
Yeah, there's all sorts of things going on in there.
Maybe it was 4.
There's moments where you can feel they ripped off Left 4 Dead. There's too much Call of Duty going on.
God, I remember you were playing like your second playthrough of Resident Evil 4's remake, and you were like running around, kicking ass, doing your thing, and you're talking to me, and you kill a regenerator, and you like turn to talk to me, and I'm looking at the screen behind you, and I'm like, no, look! And you're like, oh, fucking Iron Maiden!
Which is a souped up version of a regenerator. And they're horrible because they have spikes all over them. Yeah, 6 was... I was really scared.
That was the end of the franchise. Everyone was convinced.
Yep, that was it.
Yeah.
And it was over. And that's the end of the Resident Evil story.
Thanks for... Okay, no.
No, really. Thanks for being here. So, with that being the end of it, it took 2 years. And they came back with Revelations 2.
I already don't remember what Revelations 1 was.
Jill.
Ah, yeah. Maritime fighter.
Yep. Revelations 2 had 2 storylines to it.
Oh, they did that again?
Yep.
Oh.
Single player, though.
Okay.
I think you could play it co-op. You wouldn't want to. The other player didn't have a gun.
Oh.
And it was Claire and Barry Birkin from the first game. He finally came back.
Yeah, Barry! Yeah!
Fan favorite. And
you were find almost out... a Jill sandwich.
Yep. His famous line.
Yep.
And you find out that Wesker is actually more than what you thought. There's some DLC to 5 that talks about this.
Does this take place before 5? Chronologically?
Oh,
is it really known?
I can't remember where it takes place. Didn't care too much for it. I did play it.
No one else did either.
Nah, you can still buy it. You can still play it. Alex is the bad guy.
Alex?
Alex Wesker.
Oh.
Which is Albert Wesker's sister. They are genetic clones. No. They're known as the Wesker children, and there were other Weskers as well. They were genetically cloned after the creator of Umbrella.
Wait. Who's Jake's mom?
Some girl.
Okay.
Not much is known about his mom.
Weird.
But she raised him, and Wesker just kind of fucked off.
Well...
Yeah, when does that happen?
I'm not going to question it.
Jake hasn't come back. As of right now, in 2023, Jake has not come back.
Yeah.
I don't think they know how to handle it.
Which just sucks, because I think there's a lot of potential there.
Oh, yeah, especially after 8.
And now what we're doing with the remakes, redoing Wesker and stuff. Whatever.
So, they're the Wesker children. They're clones of Osmond Spencer.
Oh, clones of Spencer?
Yes.
Okay.
The person who kills Spencer was Wesker.
Wow, the hubris.
Yep. He did his cool dash forward and just shoved his hand into his chest.
Cool.
And then tossed him out a window through a castle down into a ravine.
Well, that's what he gets for making his castle too complicated.
Well, his castle was built just like the Spencer estate. Or, if you've watched that movie, Mansion. So that was Revelations 2. I don't think there was much of a revelation other than this Wesker thing.
After 6 flopped, 2 years, and then they release a sequel to a spin-off.
Yeah.
It was a bad
here's
combo.
The weird thing. Revelations was made for the 3DS. Revelations 2 was not.
Was it on a Nintendo console?
Yeah, you can play it on a Nintendo console, but okay. I also played it on my PS4 at the time.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's how big of a time gap it was. Okay.
And then, in 2016, they decided to release a spin-off that has nothing to do with the story. It's called Umbrella Corp.
So, what happens in it?
It was supposed to be an online multiplayer...
Oh, God. Those first 2 words I already know.
What do you call Fortnite? Battle Royale?
Oh.
We're not done with this idea, by the way.
The Battle Royale, the people tried it for so long.
Yeah.
And only very few have really made the Battle Royale system work. Overwatch, Apex, Fortnite, and there was the other one.
I wouldn't even put Apex in there.
No, Apex just has a small devout following, but that's it.
No, I can't even play that game anymore, and I used to play it all the time.
Dead by Daylight. No, that's not what that game was called. Yeah, there's some small ones here and there. But yeah, Battle Royales are hard to do, because if no one's playing it, you really can't play it.
And here we go. I bought it. I have it.
Yeah.
I tried to play it, but nobody was online. So I have no other critique other than there's nothing to do. That was it. That was one of the worst things. I was like, I just lost $20.
They've also tried doing that same idea so many times.
I know.
We'll
get to them.
Okay.
We'll get to them.
Okay. Things are looking bleak for the world of Resident Evil.
They are. And in 2017, my God, they tossed the entire hat of coins into the Jester's pocket and said, let's take a gamble.
5 years.
5 years.
After 4.
We will make Resident Evil 7. Known as Biohazard or Biohazard 7 Resident Evil.
Yes.
I love that title.
That's very cute. Because in Japan, the games are called Biohazard.
Yeah, the original title was Biohazard.
Yeah.
What they did is, in those 5 years, they sat down and just created their own engine to make their own games.
And they completely wiped the slate and was like, we're going to do something completely different.
They outdid themselves. They outdid every other company.
It was a gamble, too.
It was. It was a gamble. And I can tell you, even here today, in 2023, they won.
Yes. There was nothing like Resident Evil 7. We abandoned the idea of playing as a military guy, because you were always some sort of military cop person who has a history of knowing how to use weaponry.
Yep.
completely abandoned that. You're just regular Joe Schmo. You don't even see your own face. You're just a dude.
Well, you're going into gameplay. I wanted to talk about the RE engine.
We can do that first.
The RE engine is what they created, Resident Evil, right? And it's a hand up on a moon. Yes. You can see the silhouette of the hand on the moon. And it says RE engine.
I love the RE engine.
Everyone loves the RE engine, except for those who didn't build it. And when you look at the shimmer of lights and blood, you're going to come.
They made so many. It's plants. You started
the wind blows.
You started
the hair,
like a demo, and I was just looking at look at the plants, look at the trees. It's so beautiful, and it all works together really well.
Along with lights, you have to also remember that there's shadows. And that's how you make your lights so pronounced.
Yes.
That's a film technique. And they put that in there.
And that helps make it so, because you always have lights and shadows, it keeps the games dark and spooky atmosphere, but bright enough where you can still see the game.
And it was too cool. So, instead of continuing the story...
Yeah.
Of where we left off.
No returning...
With the Wesker children and all the main characters.
No returning characters until the very last second.
Yep.
A completely different person.
Fuck that up too.
Yeah. A lot of people were like, that can't be Chris. He doesn't look anything like Chris.
Chris has very little to do with the story, but he is there at the end.
That boulder punching asshole. He's so stupid. I love him. Yeah.
You are looking for your missing wife. Your name is Ethan Winters.
Ethan Winters.
And, you know what? It's another really cool thing before I tell this story of Resident Evil 7.
What?
It dropped at the end of January that year.
Yes.
Which is known as a dead time.
Yeah.
No movies come out, no TV shows come out.
Because it's after Christmas, because everyone does all their shopping for Christmas. Yep. And so no one wants to do any more extra spending. Theoretically, that was the idea.
The film industry is on break. They don't start up again until February.
Yep.
And the only thing that's really happening is the NFL.
Yeah.
Which is football, American football. Because we're doing the playoffs and we're building up straight up to that Super Bowl.
Yes, they don't get to break for Christmas.
I still think it should be a national holiday. Anyways.
What? Super Bowl?
Yeah, Super Bowl Sunday.
It
should be a national holiday.
Yeah.
Too many people celebrate it, and it just...
Also, the worst days I've ever had working retail were always Super Bowl day.
Yeah.
They were, by a landslide, too. I've worked on Christmas, I've worked on Thanksgiving, I've worked on the 4th of July. They all paled in comparison to the absolute buffoonery of Super Bowl day.
Yeah. And if you're not watching the Super Bowl, I don't know what you're doing, but it doesn't matter. And...
to drop a game.
There's nothing there, and then they put this here.
Yeah.
And...
a genius stroke.
My God. The game industry, even today, 6 years later, even in next year, in 2024, they're trying to shove as many horror games as they can at the end of January into those dead months. Because there's nothing to do. That's where you sell it, right?
Resident Evil 7 changed the game that way. Because no one else was competing with it, because nothing else was coming out, so it just did amazingly.
Yeah. So if you think about it, and Resident Evil 7 did phenomenally well. It revitalized the entire thing. It changed the gaming industry. That RE engine is a force de tour, and...
Tour de force.
Sorry.
I
said it so...
Yeah, you said it like you pronounced it. You just did it backwards.
And they won. Everything that was so bad about 6, where they were like, this is it, we're over.
It was legitimately scary.
Yeah.
It was tense.
As a fan, I was like, this is it. It's over.
Even at the point, I still wasn't really into Resident Evil yet. I knew things. Even I knew all about Resident Evil 7. I saw everyone playing it.
Yep.
It was cool. You couldn't escape Jack. That was always, like, you always saw the footage of Jack coming back with his chainsaw.
Just double chainsaw thing. And scissor chainsaw thing, yeah.
Also, the first time, like, Ethan gets, like, his arm chopped off, and then he just puts it back on, and everyone's like, yep, that's how that works. And then
stop.
Oh, it's so
stop.
smart.
You're jumping way too far ahead.
I can't help it. It makes me excited.
So you jump in, and you're in the bayous of Louisiana.
And amazing.
In America, right?
And they did a lot of really smart marketing for it. They made, like, an actual, like, physical version of it and brought some YouTubers out to basically play through the first 10 minutes of the game, but in real life. And it was very detailed, like, to the, like, basically, even the minuscule small details. It's like, that's what it looks like in the game, too. So.
That demo was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I was sold already. Before you even made the demo, I was just like, okay, let's do this.
Yep.
But, holy crap, I did not think you could pull yourself out of the abyss and totally redeem yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They reinvigorated everything.
Yeah.
This game and everything that went into it changed the landscape forever. This will never be forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil 6 was supposed to be that. That one goes down in the history as a sinking ship, right?
Yes.
Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, or Biohazard Resident Evil, is going to always be known in the gaming industry as the one that turned the tide.
It saved Resident Evil single-handedly. Everyone thought the franchise was dead.
It saved Capcom.
Yes, that too, because Capcom was flailing.
Yeah, and this team outdid themselves. Instead of third-person shooter, instead of weird canted angles and tank controls, they went straight for first person.
No action hero flips and jumping through lasers. Instead, we have legitimately spine-chilling body horror.
This is scary. This is the scary one.
Really?
Are you scared of something? I bet there's a thing that you don't know you're scared of, and if you play this game, you'll find it.
And I think one of the funnest things was that it was themed, like, each member of the family is themed after a
different horror genres.
Yeah. And it makes me excited for the inevitable 9th one, because seeing how they've changed that up. Yeah, that's the
code name.
Yeah. Seeing how they changed that up from not only 7 and then they do later with 8, and I'm like, what are they going to do with 9?
Because 8 also carries on themes too. We'll get to 8.
Yes.
But you play as Ethan Winters. You go in there and you're looking for your long lost wife, Mia.
Wife? Girlfriend?
Wife.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And he runs into the Bakers, the Baker family.
Yay.
And then you just deal with all sorts of nonsense, scariness. You're stuck in a house.
Yeah, back to the Resident Evil.
Yep, they put the residents back into the evil.
Yeah.
And it is amazing. There's puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
Puzzles that even I was just like, I'm getting pissed off. This is really annoying.
Twists and turns with the story.
Yep. Monsters.
Yep.
It's all there. And all of a sudden at the end, when you're fighting the big bad guy.
The house.
Yeah, pretty much. You see a helicopter with an umbrella logo, but this time it's all blue. And then a weird skinny Chris comes out to save you.
Yeah, weird skinny Chris. And then we got two big Chris later.
Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
Blows it out of the water. Everyone loves it.
Did not win.
It didn't?
Not one.
It didn't. Who did? What was Game of the Year that year?
I don't know if he might have started his Game of the Year awards, the ones that we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll probably talk about this when the time comes for a coffee break. But there is a guy who is part of the gaming industry who did reviews, and he realized that none of what's going on actually defined what was good games.
Mm-hmm.
And so he created his own academy, basically. And that's what we celebrate.
Yeah.
He basically made the Academy Awards for video games.
Hell yeah.
And I think they're fair judgments.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So Biohazard, awesome.
Yes.
2018, we take a break.
Makes sense.
Because it was that good.
And also, we've learned now that you should take your time to make sure something is really good. Rather than releasing 700 million weird little spin-offs, maybe release one really good spin-off.
Yep. In 2019,
oh,
I don't know how, but
Palpatine
it did not
survive.
Yes, Palpatine survived because this did not win Game of the Year, and what the fuck?
And you know what did? Breath of the Wild.
You mean nuts and bolts?
That's why Resi 4 has to win this year, because we can't let Zelda steal it again.
Resident Evil 2 Remake. They took away the tank controls. They took away the canted angles. They used the RE engine to its fullest potential. They got a new voice actor and actor for Leon.
Yes.
Those are two different roles, by the way.
Nick
Atopoulos.
He's so precious, and he loves being Leon so much.
He actually dresses up as Leon.
It's the cutest thing. Oh my god.
And they got a new girl for Claire.
Yep. Also, loves being Claire. So into it.
They brought in this cool mechanic with the RE engine where Mr. X, this giant tyrant, can follow you around to almost anywhere.
And it's so good. It's so it's scary in a completely different way, because 7 was scary. Like, it had body horror, it was tense, it was thrilling. You're in like
infestation,
narrow hallways and stuff, you know. But 4, or rather 2 remake, sorry, was scary in the sense of you never have time. There's always something closing in on you, and it's so good. Oh! Oh, I love it. I love the follower type.
It was up for Game of the Year and didn't win. And that's bullshit, because it is truly the greatest game that came out that year. And you can still go back and play it. I still have my physical copy.
Yeah.
And I was like, why am I not playing that? And then I was like, oh, the stress.
Martin.
Yep.
Sherry.
So much love.
A lot of Birkin.
It was truly all the love that Resident Evil needed.
Yes. And
between 7 and 2, they're powerhouses. You can't stop that.
And I'm gonna say, stroke of genius, skipping doing a remake of Resi 1.
Resi 1 had a remake.
It had so many, you know? We were tired of seeing the same old Spencer Estate.
The guy who made 4, the original 4, he made the remake of 1.
Makes sense.
He also made 0.
Uh-huh.
But he made 1 with tank controls and canted angles.
So, jumping to 2,
yeah,
with Leon, you know, and doing a game that people liked, but no one really talked about. But it was also, they knew they were going to inevitably getting back to 4, which was their biggest one. But in order to do that, you have to set up Leon.
Yep.
Stroke of genius. A brilliant move.
In 2020, a year that many of us will not forget.
Oh, yeah.
There was the Resident Evil 3 remake, which they rushed.
Yeah, and you could tell.
It uses the RE engine. It still looks beautiful. It just doesn't play like you want it to.
I like new Jill. She swears a lot, but yeah. I like how she's very cool, very badass.
In fact, this is where she becomes that swearing bitch character, you know? And they kept that around.
I like it. It's a very cool personality trait for her. She's very different. We got Carlos.
Yep.
He has the best line in any of the games. It's when he's like hunting down something and you run into the RPD for a moment to like get through, to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And he runs past a door and has like a little like clover on it and he just goes, "That's a weird fucking door."
That happened. And then Resident Evil Resistance.
I don't even know what that is. Oh.
It was another one of those online PUBG types.
They tried.
I played it a little bit. This one I was actually able to play. I did not like it. No. I don't like that setup. You don't play as your heroes. You could, potentially.
If you gave them money. If you gave them extra money for it.
Yeah.
The games where it's like 3 people are humans and 1 person is a monster, I've only seen Dead by Daylight do it well.
Yeah.
And that's because Dead by Daylight also, like, uses classic horror movie monsters. Like, you can play as Jason, or...
You could also play as Leon.
You can.
And you could play Nemesis.
So, why bother with their one that no one was playing?
And they shortly stopped working on that. Mm-hmm. So, in 2021...
What happens in 2021?
As we're sitting on the edge of our seats because of what's going on, the roaring pandemic and what would follow after.
Sure.
There's, in the summer, the showcase. E3 was not happening.
Not really. That was when it was really at the point of dying.
And PlayStation decided to do the Nintendo way of doing their own E3 on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And at the very end, they teased a game. Resident Evil 8 Village.
Yeah! My favorite. My personal favorite. I love Village.
Village is the direct sequel to 7, where you play as Ethan.
Ethan Winters. And we get best characters, all of them, all of the House Lords. There's Lady Dimitrescu. Yep. There's Angie and Donna.
Yep.
There's Moreau. And
Fish Boy.
The best one.
You gonna say his name?
Karl Heisenberg.
Yep. It's Karl Heisenberg.
Karl, because he's German.
Yep.
The only one that's actually Romanian is Lady Dimitrescu, even though you're in Romania.
And that plays to a totally different style of horror, where each of those houses, the 4 houses, are, what, Gothic? Dimitrescu?
Vampire.
Well, Gothic.
Yeah. Because they all reference classic horror movie monsters. Because she's like the vampire.
Yep.
Moreau is
Which she's not a vampire. She's way terrifying than that.
Kind of a vampire.
I wish she sparkled.
I like
how... It would have been an easier fight.
I like how big she is. Like, make her tall. Make her huge.
Yeah.
Moreau is a creature from the Black Lagoon. Mm-hmm. Donna and Angie are the play on poltergeists. And Heisenberg is Frankenstein.
And you feel... They bring in lichens?
They do, which is the werewolf. Yeah,
and
there's
you gotta fight a ton of lichens. You go into their nest.
My favorite, and it always catches everyone off guard, even if they played the game before, is when you, like, leave Donna's place, like her sector, and you walk past, like, a little building, and suddenly there's a huge lichen, like, in the wheat field, and it's like, oh my god, when did you get here?
Yep. Village was up for a nomination also, did not win.
The thing with Village that people really ran away with, not only was the continuation of the story with Ethan very interesting to see.
It explains how he's able to reattach his limbs. Because he died and he's actually infected.
Yes. Fascinatingly. Way more interesting than
I'm telling you, because of that twist and that revelation there. Mm-hmm.
I will say, if there is ever an opportunity where reintroducing Jake to the plot would make sense, Jake and Rose,
Ethan's daughter, which he goes off to go fight everybody for.
Yes, because they're both children of infected. I think that could be a very interesting way of moving the plot forward.
You think he'll imprint on her? That's a Twilight joke.
God, what a weird... We could have done anything. She could have written anything. And she chose that?
No, she's got to rewrite the first book from the male perspective.
But completely change it because... whatever.
Fuck off.
No, the thing with Village not only was the continuation of the plot, but a lot of people really fell in love with the characters. Lady Dimitrescu, famously... Everyone loved her. Loved her design.
People who don't even play the game know her.
She won awards. Also, this was the first time I noticed where the voice actors for games were, like, openly, like, playing the games.
Yep.
Like, they were streaming it. You would see Neil Newborn and Lady Dimitrescu, voice actress, they were playing it together. And then Nick Autopolis, when Resident Evil 4 remake came out, he started streaming it with... Luis's voice actor and Ashley's voice actress, and it was always the funniest thing because every time a cutscene happened, they'd just be like, "Oh, you did such a good job there. Oh, you did so good there. Oh, that's such a good line."
I saw on Reddit it was Ashley's actress,
Mm-hmm.
the model and voice actress. I guess she was the same.
Mm-hmm.
And she was cosplaying as Ashley.
Aww.
It was just Ashley, just in live action. I was just like, okay. I mean, like, I'm not impressed,
She said,
but I'm not disappointed.
I imagine her sitting down and looking at the DLC outfits, going like, "Oh, I would look good in that."
No, she was wearing her weird, like, cardigan sweater.
Nice. It is weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird cardigan sweater turtleneck.
Yeah. I'm glad they got rid of the skirt. So Village just knocks it out of the park. This entire time, since Resident Evil 3, they've been working on something called REverse.
Yeah.
So R-E semicolon.
Yeah. Semicolon? Yes.
Verse. V-E-R-S-E.
Like universe.
Yeah.
It's also, sometimes people call it reverse, because it does look like the word reverse. Like if you pronounce like SAT as SATs, or ATs, ATs.
So, what is a SAT? That's the Arizona version of passing high school.
No. SAT?
Yeah. There, you have SAT. Well, no.
Everyone has SATs.
That's how you get into college. My bad.
Yeah. And
Well, we in California, we had something cooler.
what did you have?
We had stars.
It all comes full circle. No, I don't remember what mine were called.
Every time they're like, you got to get ready for your stars testing, and all I could just hear is stars. And I still call it to that day because, like, obviously, I'm a big fan. That's why we're doing this.
So what is reverse?
Dog shit. And
Oh, is it another one of those online multiplayer?
Yeah, and I had the chance to play it, and you can, I guess it's still operational, but I chose not to.
It looked the same. It's weird because it's like the same thing as Resistance. Again.
Yeah.
But Resistance failed, and it was just 2 years prior.
Yeah, and this time you play as the heroes. And one thing I want to point out, especially for my own edit right here, is can we look at a comparison of Jill from Resident Evil 5 to what they think Jill from Resident Evil 5 looks like?
I know. I was upset. You showed me.
Yep.
And I hate it.
I was upset too, and I saw it.
Oh, God.
So in 2023, March of this year, they did their third remake, Resident Evil 4, which is up for Game of the Year.
It's
Fucking time.
It's amazing. It's so good.
I've been doing a Let's Play, if you haven't noticed. If this has been in the past and you're listening to it now, there is a Let's Play, so you can actually see the footage of what it is like to play that game.
Yeah. Louis Serra is the best part. I love him. He's so sweet.
I hope you like thrill rides.
Oh, he's so sweet. He just wants to do the right thing.
More Resident Evil movies, TV shows have come out.
So yeah, what's the so we're all caught up.
We're caught up with the video games.
So do we know what the idea of the future for the video? We know you mentioned Outrage.
Yes.
Which is the code name for 9, which everyone's waiting for. We don't know what it's actually going to be like, though.
So, apparently, because of... This is all rumors and speculation. But they were supposed to make an announcement, and they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going to have almost a year break of Resident Evil. Actually, more than a year.
I mean, it's happened before. Between 7 and the 2 remake, there was a year.
They're also working on another remake, which I believe is Code Veronica.
Yeah, they're not gonna. I was gonna be like, once they hit 5, they got a lot to do.
Do not remake 5 quite yet.
Yeah,
It's way too soon. And then, it hasn't even been, 20 years?
Damn.
Jesus, yeah.
Oh my God.
We're getting old.
Oh God.
I believe 9 will drop, from what I understand, in October of 2024.
I would place my bet on January 2025.
There's also that time slot.
Mm-hmm. So
we'll see what the gaming industry does.
Because I just don't think it would do October, because there's supposed to be a bunch of Silent Hill games coming out next year.
Nope.
And
only one.
And I don't think they even won.
And Silent Hill took the March spot where Resident Evil 4 came out this year. They're taking it for next year. So Silent Hill 2 Remake will come out next year.
Okay. I am excited for that.
I'll never do a video of Silent Hill. Trying to explain that to somebody is... It's a chore.
It's not. There's no easy way of summing up Silent Hill, especially 2. Oh.
And so he likes to bend over the mannequins.
No!
Okay, I hope you guys really enjoyed that one. I hope this fulfilled your lackluster time of the holidays.
Yeah, I imagine so many. My holiday memories is sitting on my grandmother's horribly too small scratchy couch, which is not angled towards the TV, but the TV is the only thing that's on, and we're all just watching a football game that no one's invested in. So you have to crane your neck to look at it.
I just want to say this. Every year I try to watch the Macy Day Parade.
Mm-hmm.
And we watched it. And it just gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
Every year it just gets worse.
So boring. Also, the Rockettes came out, and I know what they're doing is technically impressive. Doing high kicks like that is not easy.
And synchronization.
But golly, yawn. Fucking one of the announcers was like, it never gets old. And I'm like, it does. It did. I'm gonna say several decades ago.
You know what's getting old? Cher.
Cher was there.
That was their big highlight, and I don't know how that's a highlight, but I was watching. Did you notice I didn't talk through that whole entire thing?
I was amazed that they really decided to do the warbly auto-tune thing.
Oh my god. I didn't want to say anything because I want to trash it. And I'm going to trash it on next week's coffee break.
And I like Cher too.
I don't.
I like 2. Well, do I like Cher?
Well, we're ushering into the winter holidays.
Yay! Woo! It's gonna get colder. It's already a very gray day for us.
Yep. And there will be another Garbage Eggs next month.
Next month?
Yep.
Nice. But it's not gonna be part 3 of Resident Evil.
The Resident Evil Part 3 will be about the movies.
Yes.
And any updates I have about the games, but that will be off in 2024.
Like Resident Evil itself, it comes in a trilogy.
They think of them as trilogies, so yeah.
Makes sense.
9 should be in the vein of 7 and 8.
I'm excited for 9 to be first-person shooter, but from Rose's perspective. I'm still going to hold out hope that it's a Rose story, and I just can't wait to see her be like way more confident with a gun than Ethan ever was.
Oh, you know what I never talked about? VR.
Oh, do we have to? I mean,
no,
it's just there.
They did it.
It's
first person, third person in VR. So that's, I mean, and Microsoft, you have no nominations.
No.
You are losing this fight. You said you're going to buy Nintendo.
Yeah, they wanted to buy Nintendo. They have no nominations.
That was the dream. Your dream is to consume something better than you.
So you could say
but you are not an apex predator. God. So understand this. You're a joke. Capcom also said, because they heard about the Nintendo thing, they came out and they're like, if Microsoft tried to buy us, no. And I was laughing. I was like, there we go. So the true massive ones, Nintendo, Sony, and Capcom. You can't stop them. Yeah. They're the victors of this whole entire thing.
So, hooray, Resident Evil!
There we go. We did part 2. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
I had a lot of fun. Let us know what your favorite Resident Evil game is in the comments.
Yeah. What's your favorite part? What's your favorite line?
Favorite character? Do you want to see Jake return? I do. Untapped potential.
My favorite character of Resident Evil is